Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Let's go back to players of the game. Offensively, Macon Wilson, he had a career day. Made a lot of big plays. He's had a really solid season for us on offense. Big playmaker was Justin Jackson. He really got the run game going. It started up front. Thought our O-line played very well. But Justin made a bunch of big plays. Defensively, Kyle Cairo was very active. Had his hands on 2 other balls with opportunities for big plays, but really had an outstanding game. I thought fit pretty well in the run game also. And then big playmaker was Tyler Lancaster. Again, he didn't make a bunch of sacks and so on and so forth, but the consistency that he's demonstrated inside, I think has really allowed our linebackers to flow pretty freely. Special teams-wise, it was Blake Gallagher. He represents our kickoff team. I thought we had a solid day against a really outstanding kickoff return team. Practice players were Jace James on offense. Joe Spivak and Chris Bergen shared the defensive practice player of the week, and Bryce Jackson on special teams. Saturday will be a special night from a standpoint of Veterans Day, and we've got an unbelievable honorary captain coming back in Tom Ruby. Played in 13 games for us throughout his career after retiring as a Navy. Well, actually, he was still actually active as a Navy SEAL, but he was 2-time academic All-Big Ten while he was here. So to have Tom back, I think he's going to bring 2 of his sons with him to be our honorary captain. Will be absolutely outstanding. It'll be great to see Tom. So with that, I'll open it up to some questions.
What's been the key to your red zone efficiency on both sides?
I think offensively, for the most part, taking care of the ball, first of all. Being able to run it somewhat efficiently down there. And then obviously the pretty consistent kick in our red zone field goals. Defensively, I think our guys have just executed fairly well. It seems like we've tackled well. There were a couple of one-on-one tackle opportunities on Saturday. A couple big plays by Nate Hall on third down. They ran a kind of a half roll tight end throwback. He was the only guy in that half of the field. Really good discipline. So I would just think that we've been able to just tackle pretty well down there. And then, like Godwin's interception, I don't know if that was in the red zone, but, for example, on Saturday, just creating turnovers down there and holding guys to field goals is key.
Seems like the offensive line has had a couple of good games put together. You said a couple of weeks ago that they were getting better. Do you think they're continuing to get better and at a level you're happy with?
Yeah, I think they've had a solid 4 weeks. I thought they handled Saturday pretty well. I mean, it was a hostile environment, to say the least. And, I thought they handled it pretty well.
Has there been a turning point for them? Was there something someone said in practice or a game where they just really came to play that has shifted things for that unit?
No. I just think they're working hard.
What does Purdue present, the problems they present offensively? They're quite imaginative, what I've seen of them this year. And on defense, they're playing at a pretty high level.
Yeah, they're playing at a very high level. I'm really impressed with them on tape. First of all, Jeff's an outstanding coach. You can go back in your off-season studies and you look at what he was able to accomplish at WKU was really impressive. And, he was an outstanding player, now outstanding coach. His staff, came with him almost intact, and they know what they're doing. They know what they want to do. They know how they want to do it. And I think they've done a really good job using a really talented roster. We thought Purdue was very talented last year as we got ready to play them. They were just really beat up. And, to see where Jeff and his staff is taking this group of guys has been really impressive. Real physical up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Setting up, using the run to set up play action pass and doing a great job with it. Seeing their ability to have some imagination and run some trick plays to make some big plays has been impressive. So you got to be sound there. And then defensively, I think Nick Holt's doing a great job. I've known Nick for a long time. I think that defense is taking on his personality, tough, rugged, physical, on the same page, present a lot of problems schematically. Like I said, I thought I was really impressed with the way they played against Nebraska. Nebraska's comeback in those last two drives was really impressive. And I really thought they played really well on Saturday, especially when David went down. I thought they really responded well to their captain going down, and what a great competitor. My heart's broken for him. I know that injury all too well, and what a great competitor, a great leader. He gave an amazing speech at the kickoff luncheon. You just hate to see anything like that happen to a young man. But and then as you look at their kick game, Tony Levine, was got head coaching experience. Does a great job with their kick game also. So we got our hands full with all three phases. Again, it's going to be another tough, hard-fought game.
Pretty big day on Saturday for Macon and Ben Skoranek, but also pretty uneven day on the whole from Clayton. How would you assess your receivers on Saturday performance?
I thought for the most part, I thought we played pretty physical when we didn't have the ball in our hands. I thought most of the balls that were catchable that we had, I think, I don't know if I had any drops in the game. And, I thought from a consistency standpoint, I thought they were pretty solid.
Different subject. The game on upcoming Purdue game is the first night home game in November for Northwestern in school history. Is that a point of excitement for you guys, and do you have a preference for these night games in conference?
I did not know that factoid, so thanks for sharing it. Yeah. Hey, let's go play. Well, we'll play whenever they tell us we got to play. We don't get to find out till when? Next Sunday? Yeah. So
no preference?
as a coach, whenever they tell us to play. As a dad, I'd like to kick off at 8 a.m. Yeah. I'd like to wake up and have food on the bus to go, and so I can enjoy my Saturday with my kids. But I don't think the Big Ten office has gotten that memo from me. So I'm a big 11 o'clock fan. Huge. Big fan. Always have been, always will be. I think it's a great time to play. But, whatever time they tell us we're going to play, we're going to play. We need to show up ready to go. It's my job.
What do you think the problem has been with Purdue in past years, and what has changed this year to allow them to be more competitive in these Big Ten games?
I have no idea the first answer. I don't coach there. I didn't play there. But I would say that every team that I've coached against has been incredibly competitive. Started with Coach Tiller and incredible football teams, absolutely outstanding. And then, Coach Hope had it going there a little bit, and then they made a change. And I think they were just beat up for most of Coach Hazel's career. They had a lot of injuries. Very talented, but a lot of injuries, and just kind of couldn't get over the hump. But you always saw a tough physical team that was very talented. And, Jeff, I said it in the offseason privately, but I said that was a great hire by Purdue. Outstanding coach and a guy that's done it at a high level as a player, done it at a high level as a coach, has an identity of what he wants to do and how he wants to do it in all three phases. And, I think they're going to be very, very good for a long time under Jeff's leadership. So, it's going to be a challenge for us starting here on Saturday. I think they're playing outstanding football, and those guys are highly motivated and playing very physical. So we're going to have to match that if we want to have a chance to compete.
Is the approach in college football to deciding whether to go or kick on fourth down, is it changing? I'm not talking specifically about your decisions, but just in general, is there more of a trend now towards going for it on fourth down?
I think during the week, as we get ready for our opponents, you study everything. I think for the most part, people are making decisions that are best for the situation that falls in the game. But I don't get a chance to watch a whole lot outside of our opponents and ourselves, Dave, so I can't answer that from a trend standpoint. But I think people are just trying to find ways to win, and that's obviously the name of the game.
Marty has said that this group is his closest in his 10 years here. What practical benefit does that have on the field, that closeness?
Yeah, we must be in November. You guys are giving me deep, probing questions. First of all, I think that group has worked really hard, Skip. And it's not unique to this group of guys, okay? I think Marty has created a culture in that room. I think it starts in recruiting. We're looking for really unselfish team-first guys that want to play defensive line here. Marty's a great technical teacher. He's a phenomenal attitude teacher. And then, like our program, there's an expectation that there's a commitment to each other, that there's a brotherhood that's created within each position group and then within the team. And, to see the leadership from guys like Tyler and Jordan, and then to see the production from a lot of first-time players. Again, some may be a little bit older, but the group collectively, I think, is playing very consistent fundamental football. And I think that starts with the way that they practice. And I think we got complete buy-in and ownership within the room. Those guys own that room. It's Marty's done a great job, but I think the guys have really done a terrific job.
And then as a former linebacker, when the D-line is playing as well as it is, how much easier does that make your job?
I would say the reason why my name's on the stadium twice is because of an unbelievable defensive line. It wasn't because of me. So, there's nobody that has more appreciation for defensive linemen than me. And our guys here know that. All the guys that have played D-line here during my time, even when I was a linebacker coach, understand my affinity for them and what this game demands and expects of them for us to be successful defensively and successful as a team. And, I think this group has really been productive, and it goes back to the way that they've worked. And, again, they're going to have their hands full. Purdue's real physical up front. They're running 4 backs, 3 backs, doing a lot of different things schematically, and it's going to be a great challenge. So it's another week ahead of us here.
Coach, talk a little bit about special teams and the contribution. We keep hearing Blake Gallagher's name and Warren Long and the type of role that Warren plays on special teams too.
Yeah, I think again, a kind of similar answer that I just gave Skip from an unselfish standpoint. You don't, outside of your snapper, punter, kicker, maybe some kick return guys, punt return guys. The rest of the guys out there, that's an unselfish commitment to the game and to the team. And we've had a lot of guys step up. We were a little bit probably too young to start the season, and it showed in some areas out there. But I think collectively that group has really improved. We've been able to, I think, plug and play some guys as we've had some injuries, and those guys have stepped up. I thought Blake was outstanding on Saturday, and he's been really solid throughout the year. And especially, like right now, we're like everybody. We're really beat up. We've been through a grind here like everybody, and you're in week 2 of November, and you just got to find a way to tough it out. And, I might have to change practices a little bit this week, rush some guys. Like everybody, we're beat up. And so those guys are going to have to continue to step up more and more. And especially our young guys. We're playing a ton of young players. And this is when they're going to really be counted on here these last 3 weeks to help us find a way to win.
I assume you talked to Clayton about the 2 interceptions. What was he seeing there? Was it a problem of that, or were they overthrows, or what exactly was the issue there?
Yeah, the one in the red zone, we can't have red zone turnovers. Probably should have come off Flynn earlier. And then the throw was a lot high to Bennett, and I'd like to also see Bennett go up and get that ball. So I think it was a combination of both guys. But it's so awesome to be the all-time winningest quarterback in program history and have guys hating on him. That's what I told him. I'm not talking about your question. I'm just saying you've been incredibly successful and you won a lot of football games, and that's the world you live in. That people are going to come down on you because you don't have a perfect game, and you just got to shut the noise off and go play. And like after the pick, in the third quarter, I asked him, what he saw, what he thought. And he says, I just sailed the ball. I said, all right, good. Grip it and rip it. Let's go. I got full confidence and full trust in Clayton. He's a hell of a football player. He's a great competitor. He's a ridiculous, relentless teammate. And, I'm fired up that we've got him because he's won a lot of football games for us. That's all right. Fire away.
Well, you just mentioned a lot of the young guys are going to have to. You're going to depend on young guys. But you've talked in the past also of the young guys sort of hitting a wall at this time of the year because how do you prevent that? How do you nurture them?
Like I said, I may have to change practices up a little bit. You know, I don't know. It's still Monday afternoon. But they got to step up. I mean, that's the bottom line. And that's not unique to us. It's that time of the year for everybody across the country where, you know, everybody's really beat up. You're physically and mentally in a place that you've got to find a way and trust in your training and trust in what you've done to get yourself to this point, and just find a way to scratch and claw and win. So that's the challenge. You know, most of these guys young guys are used to being done playing by now. They're already in wrestling or basketball season. So, you know, just continue to embrace the grind and just keep trying to get better in practice. Keep working hard fundamentally and keep grinding to get better in practice.
Jeremy Larkin, what has he learned from just watching Justin? And can you see it reflected at all in the way he goes about his business? Not necessarily just running, but the way he goes about his business.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what Trevor had with Peyton Manning, right? I mean, I'm not saying JJ's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in the NFL, but you know, you got one of the greatest players in our program history, and when you're a younger player, to be able to watch and emulate his process is a true blessing. And I think Lark and all those guys in that room have really learned a ton because Justin's a great teammate. And the way that he goes about his physical preparation, his mental film study, his practice habits. You know, he's developed so much in our program to the player that he is right now. I think he's just been a great leader in that room to show those guys exactly what it takes to be a great player in this league. Who's that? Oh, yeah. I mean, Lark, Johnny Moe, all those guys, you know, Corey, Austin. I mean, the whole group, Jesse. I mean, that group, they were awesome this offseason. I mean, they were the first guys in the weight room, first guys out running, last guys to leave. You know, they've grinded now for a long time. And just similar to our D-line, I think that group's got great chemistry within the room. In a room that, you know, traditionally, I'm not saying here, we've been fortunate, but, you know, across the country, that room's pretty selfish, typically. You know, as a linebacker head coach would say, you know, that group is usually pretty selfish, and we've been fortunate at my time. We haven't had that issue. Maybe it's a little byproduct of the guys we recruit, but those guys have been awesome. I'm really thankful for them. That group has played really well this year. Because Johnny's got a big role in kick game. Jesse's got a big role in the kick game. Austin's been really assuming his role in the kick game. I think Lark has been outstanding. You know, Justin, you know, just I think exudes toughness.
Having Jeremy in there to start the overtime maybe raised a few eyebrows. I mean, does that mean you really trust this guy because you obviously can't afford a turnover or a problem there?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was just ebb and flow of the game, and it was his turn to go. So, yeah, it's his turn to go. I mean, I think we've got two guys that are playing at a real high level right now. I mean, he almost averaged 7 yards per carry on Saturday. So, you know, yeah, I think he's a heck of a player.
Coach, it looks like there's a number of changes in the second team offensive line this week. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah, just for you to ask me, for me not to tell you anything. That's all. Just seeing if you're paying attention.
Nate Hall has assumed a more prominent role this season. What kind of step forward has he taken, and where has he become a better player?
And I'm really proud of Nate's toughness. You know, a couple of weeks ago, that was a pretty gruesome injury that he had. He comes back in the game and makes a huge play to win it. You know, and that week he didn't practice a lot, and to see the way that he went out and played was awesome. And then Saturday I thought was really active again. Veteran guy, you know, he's only a junior, but he's a veteran guy. He's been in a lot of battles, and just need to keep him coming on because he's playing really well.
Then having him play next to Patty, is he mentoring Patty at all? Is there kind of a special relationship between those two guys?
Yeah, I think just that group's got really good chemistry right now. I think Brett's playing really well too. I think Brett Walsh is playing outstanding football. And, the veteran guy in the room, the senior, the guy who's again been through a lot in his time here, and just the way that group is playing has been fun to watch. I think they've improved. And they're going to have their hands full this week with Purdue's offense. No doubt about that, especially their rushing attack.
Tyler Lancaster got a little banged up at the end of the Nebraska game. Is he feeling better?
Full go.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Go Cats.